Following the one-week postponement of the February 16 general elections by the Independent National Electoral Commission (Inec), there are concerns the elections could be shifted again. Does Inec have the legal authority to further shift the elections? In an exclusive chat with Rootstv, constitutional lawyer Barrister Victor Giwa explains.
Has Inec the authority not just to postpone the election once, but to postpone these elections multiple times, as some people are speculating could happen?
Well, thank you. I think the power of Inec to postpone the election is constitutional. It is contained in the Electoral Act, particularly Section 26 of the Electoral Act. And it does provide that when an election has been, when the date for election has been scheduled, and the Commission has this belief that there's likely going to be a breach of security, the Commission can postpone the conduct of that election. Or when there is a case of natural disaster, or when there are issues of emergency. So those are bases upon which the Commission, which is Inec, has the power to postpone the election. So if Inec feels that there's going to be a breach of security in any part of the country, Inec may postpone the election in that particular area or in the whole of the country. Or when there's a likelihood of natural disaster, maybe there's going to be flood, there's going to be, any kind of weather disturbances and all of that. Or when there's a case of emergency, emergency is very, ambiguous. You could say your failure of your logistics, just like what they have said. It could be maybe in terms of human resources, it could be deployment, it could be anything that gives reason for emergency.
Let's talk about the time span. How long does the Electoral Act say how long INEC can postpone elections, the number of times INEC can postpone an election? And is there a time frame for which the postponement of the election is not allowed?
Yes, election should be conducted 19 days. Election must be conducted 90 days before the swearing in. Out a deadline. It brings into consideration the period after which you must conduct your election and consider the swearing in. Now, so if INEC does not conduct those elections within those period of time as prescribed by the Constitution, of course, any election conducted outside the timeline will be unconstitutional. So that suggests the reason why whenever there is a shift, it also affects the other election, because they must be done within the prescribed period as contained in the Constitution.
I was just about to ask you that, because some people have asked, the presidential election was shifted by a week. Was it necessary to shift the governorship election at all? 1 week gap, wouldn't that have been enough? So still the question, must both elections be shifted at the same time, or can INEC shift one and leave the other at the stipulated time?
Yeah, it's a question of logistics, actually. It is not a question of law. Yeah, INEC can actually conduct the election on the 23rd, the presidential election and national assembly election, on the 23rd of February, and still conduct the gubernatorial and the state assembly election on the 2nd. But I think what they put into consideration is the logistic. They will be deploying the same human resources. They will be deploying the same number of ad hoc staff. They will be deploying the same persons. You understand? So, and we're talking about fatigue. Considering the route, the geographical, arrangement of Nigeria, the distance, the security issue, the topography, the weather, there will be a lot of wear and tear. And so it gives room for them to recoup, to re-energize, to go and freshen up, to replan, to look at their logistic and all of that. So that is basically the reason why, in most cases, when the first one is shifted, it also has a way of affecting the next one.
All right, let's talk about the parties and all the people who have been affected by this shift? I mean, you've got the political parties who are talking about increased or more logistical cost in terms of manpower and resources, financial resources. And then you talk about an average Nigerian who probably would have traveled to his village just to vote, and now he either has to come back to town and do that again or stay in the village. So a lot of inconveniences have been witnessed based on this postponement. The question I'm asking really, and a lot of Nigerians are asking, do these parties or the stakeholders or the people who feel aggrieved by this postponement, do they have the ability and the right to sue Inec for inconveniences, for damages, for whatever? Do they have that?
Well, it is a bit tricky. It is tricky because, first of all, your right to vote is a civil responsibility. It is a constitutional right, but it is not a fundamental right. Now, they are quite different. I mean, you can choose not to vote. Nobody is going to. It's not going to cost you anything. Nobody is going to imprison you for not voting. Nobody is going to charge you for not voting. That's why it is a civil right. It is not a fundamental right. Now, so if you have suffered any form of inconveniences, Inec has the right to say maybe they can give you like I really don't know if within the purview of the law, you can sue Inec for the inconveniences you suffered as a result of change of date, but that will be different for a political party.
Okay, what about a political party?
Yeah, for a political party, they can do that because the political party right to contest for election haven't done their primaries and haven't provided a candidate and haven't gotten a date fixed by Inec. They can now sue Inec for the damages incurred as a result of that postponement, but not for any ordinary citizen.
Okay, any other citizen, an ordinary citizen can't sue Inec, but the political parties can.
Yes.
Can they also sue if they disagree with the time or the new date prescribed by Inec for the elections? If they feel it's inconvenient for them, can they say, I don't like this date, Inec shifted, and I'm suing you for that? Can they petition Inec to say we are uncomfortable with the new date that you have set for the elections?
No, they cannot. They cannot because we have about 91 political parties who are participating in this presidential election. If Party A says 23rd is not convenient for me, what about Party B? What about the 68th party? What about the 62 party? What about the 69th party? What about the 70th party? So INEC cannot just fix a date at the convenience of the political party. So INEC must take into consideration the conflicting interests of all these political parties and within the rubric of the law to fix a date that will be satisfactory for it to conduct this election. You should understand that the power and obligation to conduct the election is exclusively that of INEC.
With these explanations, INEC may have some wiggle room to extend the conduct of the 2019 general elections, though many hope this will not be the case. Gloria Oje MRD for Rootstv Nigeria.